Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mack. Tonight, our Cleveland Cavaliers took on a very injury-riddled Miami Heat team. No Bam Adebayo, no Haywood Highsmith, no Tyler Herro for starters. They had to send out, I think the broadcast said their 14th different starting lineup tonight. And still, prior to tonight's game, they stood at 12-9. I think that's pretty impressive. And we know Cleveland's had to deal with his fair share of injury woes on this end too, right? We're at 13-9 too after tonight's victory, but Cleveland entered tonight without the services of Evan Mobley, missing his first game of the season. And Mobley was one of just three players from the Cavaliers to begin the season available for each game prior to tonight's contest. Luckily, the other two, Max Strus and George Niang, were available. And obviously, this game, it was wild, as per the name of the episode. There was a lot of emotions in this one. Cavs obviously started out very flat offensively. At one point, the starters were a combined 5-20. It was that bad. It started out that bad to the point where JB he dug deep into the rotation. Now, part of that, let's clarify, part of that is because Darius Garland picked up 3 early fouls and ended up picking up 4 within a very quick span of time in the game. So, yes, that did force JB's hand to a degree, but you got to give credit where credit is due. I will say I didn't love starting the game out with Sam Merrill over Craig Porter Jr. I did not love that at first, but Sam Merrill made us eat our words, right? He came in, he dropped 3 triples at timely points in the game. Very nice game. The entire bench contributed in this one, from Tristan Thompson to Craig Porter Jr., Isaac Okoro, George Niang, everybody, really, even Damian fucking Jones. Damian Jones saw time tonight, and he was immediately pulled in favor of Tristan Thompson. So thank you, JB, for that. I don't think any of us at this point in time are fans of Damian Jones minutes. He is basically just a depth piece. He's a depth piece. Love this. Dr. Claw 77 says that was ether in basketball form. Yes. Anytime you can beat a very well coached, Eric Spoelstra led Miami Heat team, you feel really good about that. When the Cavs are now starting to put some wins together, man, starting to put some quality wins together. And that was a game where the Cavs kind of had to dig deep, and they had to look elsewhere outside of their starting group for much of tonight. Although, the stat sheet for Donovan Mitchell is not going to suggest that he started the game out slow, as he would finish the game with 27 points, 13 boards, Jesus, from a guard, and 6 assists, finishing just 4 assists shy of that triple-double. You would think that he had a wonderful game, but no, that is not how the game started out for Don. I think they said he only had 8 heading into the second half. I could be wrong about that, but this game, definitely, they turned up the intensity towards the latter half of the second quarter and carried that energy on over into the second half, where they completed the performance on both ends of the floor. The defensive intensity was there. The offense started to pick up, and they were led by that bench unit of players. And I got to say this, as Tom K brings it up already, put some damn respect on Dean Wade's name. Too much slander has gone to Dean Wade this season. I don't care how you feel about Dean. Yes, we know his game. He is sporadic in regards to his three-point shooting, but the defense that he provides, the rebounding that he provides, the ability to man the 3 and 4 positions, and sometimes even the 5 in spot minutes. You need a player like Dean Wade, especially when you don't have Evan Mobley out there. Dean will finish tonight with 5 points, 6 boards. And although the stat sheet doesn't exactly reflect his impact, I'm telling you, he made some really, really impactful plays. Let me go ahead and mute this Cavs stream real quick as I'm talking over it. He made some timely plays, and you need players like that out there. You don't make some of the runs that you do tonight without them. And one of these guys out there that, I'm guilty of kind of saying, hey, what the hell was JB thinking in inserting Sam Merrill over Craig Porter Jr.? I got to walk that back a little bit because Sam made me eat my words. Like I said, the dude came out there, and we know the book on Sam is that at the G League level, he can space the floor, but we haven't seen him really put together a ton of games at the NBA level where his perimeter spacing really is felt. And tonight, he did that. Merrill would finish tonight 3 of 5 from distance, finished with 9 points in 10 minutes. Absolutely. Yes, Steven, Cavs agenda. Cavs was cooking today. They absolutely were, man. I loved it. And this is, as I believe it was pointed out on the broadcast by John Michael, this is one where you look at the box score and you do feel good about, because literally the entire roster, sans, I think Isaiah Mobley was the only player that did not suit up tonight. Everybody got at least 3 minutes, and everybody contributed. So this is one you look at, and especially against an opponent in Miami who, historically plays Cleveland very, very well. And you look at this and you just feel good. This is a good victory where the Cavs had to kind of claw and scratch their way back from a slow and sluggish start, and it wasn't their starters. They did not rely heavily on their stars in this one. For those of you who have been clamoring for the Cavs to go with a deeper rotation, for those of you who have been clamoring for for the Cavs minutes, for their starters to be kind of tailored and curtailed backwards, this is the game for you. Their leading minute getter tonight was Donovan Mitchell, just with 36. And while 36 sounds like a high amount compared to some of these games that they've had this young start to the season, that's a pretty low total. Everybody across the board, their minutes were down. Max Strus, 34. Max is leading the Cavs in minutes right now. Darius Garland, due to that foul trouble, just 26 minutes tonight. Jared Allen, 25 minutes. Dean Wade, 25 minutes. Craig Porter Jr., the motherfucker that everybody wants minutes to get, 23 tonight. Craig Porter Jr. gave some of the most impactful minutes out there, and he honestly was the catalyst for the Cavs coming back. So credit where credit's due for JB Bickerstaff. And I know fans will probably point to that and say, hey, it was done out of necessity. No, not necessarily. I want you to go back and check, because the only rotation level players, when JB really started to insert some of the bench, the only rotation players with multiple fouls were DG and Isaac. Tristan Thompson, he came in, gave the Cavs a boost. Sam Merrill came in, gave the Cavs a boost. Craig Porter Jr. obviously came in, gave the Cavs a boost. Isaac Okoro, George Niang, I could go on down the line. Cavs basically went 11 or 12 deep tonight, and everybody contributed out there. So you feel really, really, really good about this. But the question that I have for you all, because I'm trying to rack my brain here. I am trying to rack my brain. I love what I saw out of everybody tonight, but normally you're not going to count on Sam Merrill, right? You're not going to count on Tristan Thompson every single night, and you're certainly not going to count on Dean Wade to get as many minutes as he did tonight. My question for y'all, feel free to let me know about this in the comments. For as much as we want Craig Porter Jr. to go out there and get minutes, where are we going to give him those minutes? Because I'm like racking my brain here, and I'm thinking, especially when Karis comes back, because let's talk about that too. Karis LeVert was not out there, and I know some people that I've conversed with on social media think Karis is an issue off that bench, that he's getting too many minutes. And while you can certainly look at his overall minute totals and say, hey, you can probably curtail that a little bit, lower those a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, Craig Porter Jr. is only going to steal a couple of minutes from him. So my question to you all is, where do those minutes come from? For the people who want Craig to get 15 to 20 a night, which I get why you want that, right? The Cavs don't have a real backup point guard because Ty Jerome is still out. And Karis LeVert, while he can function as a playmaker, it's not his number one skill. So where are you pulling those minutes from? Is it a combination of from Karis, DG, Max, and Karis? Yeah, well, and Mitchell rather. So I guess let me reword that a little bit. A little bit from DG, a little bit from Donovan, a little bit from Karis. Where else are they coming from? Because you really can't take too many away from Isaac Okoro, because he's playing low 20s, sometimes even high teens in the minutes. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it sucks, because obviously tonight is another game at which a key rotation piece was out in Karis LeVert, where you can't necessarily use the at full strength kind of thing, because the Cavs are not. when they don't have Karras out there as a big time rotation piece, obviously that bumps one of those reserves up into getting some, much needed minutes. And tonight, obviously, for the most part, that was Craig Porter Jr. who saw the benefit of that at that guard position. So I'm racking my brain here. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Where do those Craig Porter Jr. minutes come from? Because I just don't know. It's one thing to get the guy minutes again when you're missing a rotation piece in Karras, or if DG's out, or if Donovan's out, or if Isaac is out, one of those guys. But where at full strength, where do those minutes come from? I don't know. Like, for everybody who wants Craig to play, I completely understand why you want him out there. I just don't know how. Like, I don't know how. Short of like stealing 2 to 3 minutes per game. As TuneIn Sports says down here, CBJ definitely deserves to see the floor. But like you, I don't know when LeVert comes back. Yeah. And until Karras is back out there, sure, give Craig Porter Jr. Karras's usual complement of minutes, anywhere between 24 to 28. I love that. I love that idea, right? You can do that, and you can obviously shorten the workload for Darius Garland out there when you do so. But when he does return, I don't see how it's possible, because you want your starting backcourt out there probably as much as possible, right? Without really working them to death. Like, if you can get Darius and Donovan somewhere around 34, 35 minutes a game, that's okay. That's acceptable. That's fine. But past that, you probably don't want them sitting for too long, because they give you your best chance to win. So I don't know, man. I'm racking my brain over that. I would love for people to know the answer to this. Obviously, this is a JB problem and not a Mack or a fan problem. So who knows? We'll see. It's getting continuously harder and harder, though, to sit this guy. I know I'm not alone in that. It's getting really, really, really hard to sit Craig Porter Jr. when he continues to have performances like this and impact the game the way that he does on both ends of the floor. It's not like he's just putting up stats in garbage minutes, or that, he's just getting shots up out there, because that's not even remotely the case. Craig Porter Jr. is actually impacting the game when he comes in, whether it be for, in 5-minute stretches, a 10-minute stretch, something like that. He's impacting the game on both ends of the floor. So it's getting really, really hard to continuously sit him. So I understand the fan frustration in regards to that. John Turner says down here, Mitchell and Garland could play 31 to 32 minutes a game. It's possible, right? But it's highly unlikely, because as you see how impactful Donovan Mitchell can be when he gets going, you're not going to elect to sit him. DG, I mean, you can probably get away with that, maybe 31, maybe 32, but I don't know, man. It's tough. It is really tough, considering that all three of these guys are smallish guards, right? It's not like Karras, where you can play him legitimately 1 through 3 and even get away in some lineups with him at 4. He's so damn versatile in regards to his positional versatility. That's what I'm trying to say. He's very, very versatile, so you can line him up in multiple areas. You can't necessarily do that without sacrificing on the defensive end with Darius, Donovan, and Craig Porter Jr., because they're all 6'2" and below. So it's tough. Somebody's going to be given somewhere, and I don't know. John also says you don't want to burn them out in the regular season. Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing that we also have to take into consideration here is that with a player like Craig Porter Jr., there is a 50-game limit to how many games he can appear at the NBA level on that 2-way contract before you have to make a determination on whether or not you're going to convert him or send him down to the charge, right? And for Craig, I believe that this was his 14th game. I don't have the accurate number right in front of me. I'm sure I could pull it up real quick. But yeah, Craig, he's already starting to burn some of those appearances off. So you do still have to be, tonight was his 14th appearance. You do still have to be kind of smart with how you're using him. And tonight, without Karras, it's a good spot to use him at. And so you have 36 more games on the season that you can use him in. So before they have to make that decision on him. So it still might be a little strategic in regards to JB. And I know us as fans, we're going to be like, man, fuck that. This dude is so impactful. You got to have him out there. But until he's converted, as Tom K says down here, that's kind of what we're dealing with. And the really tough part about this is that it's just the position he plays. If he was doing this as a wing, let's say he's like 6'5, 6'6, 6'7 out there, and he's doing what he's doing on both ends of the floor, you can bet your ass that the Cavs would have already converted his contract because there would be a spot for him. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. He might even be getting minutes over um, Isaac Okoro and stealing some of Max Struess's minutes. And we might be approaching that status, or Karis LeVert even, right? At the whenever they have him in lineups at the 2 and the 3. That's exactly what would happen if he was around that size, but he's just not. So it kind of sucks. Like, it's just too many mouths to feed at that guard position. But I really would love to know, if you catch this episode later on and you're not watching live, when you hear this, I really want to know the answer to this, because I'm racking my brain and I can't figure it out for the life of me. And like I said, it's not a Mack problem, it's a JB problem. So I do not envy him in regards to that. But I do recognize the fact that this is a tough situation for him to be in. Tonight, man, just overall, just good vibes, especially with the team really contributing from top to bottom. Let's talk about Max Strus here a little bit in his first return to Miami, I believe, on the season. Just 11 points tonight. Did pull down 7 rebounds, but obviously the number that sticks out in regards to his stat line is the 4 of 17 from the field, including 2 of 11 from distance. His shot just wasn't falling tonight. The typically sharp shooting Strus just didn't have it going in that regard, but he was still a plus 18 on the night because, for one, he was playing some pretty damn good defense out there, and two, he was actually still able to impact the game in other areas. Again, those rebounds, pretty big deal. His ability to space the floor and generate gravity, that opens things up for other guys, especially when he is driving the basketball. And operating and orchestrating in the pick and roll, as operating sort of the DHOs with the big men out there. And we know the connection that he's made with the likes of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. The thing that I always get weary of when they switch out one of Evan or Jarrett for Tristan Thompson or a Damian Jones type, right? The thing that I'm always weary of is those DHO possessions, or those sets, they don't actually look all that crisp because Tristan is just not akin to playing with Max Strus the way that Evan and Jared have developed that level of chemistry with him. But obviously, the way that this man has impacted the season, it just makes you feel like he's probably been one of the Cavs' best additions in years. Like, that acquisition continues to pay dividends. John Turner says Jared Allen had that bad body language all game tonight. Yeah, I mean, this is a game that I thought that Jared Allen might be dominating because Bam Adebayo is not out there and Evan Mobley's not out there. So the Cavs, obviously, they were forced to go with a bit of a smaller lineup out there with Dean Wade starting at the 4, who provides a little bit more spacing. So I thought, hey, if there is a game for Jared Allen to look like a boss out there, it's tonight. And obviously that didn't happen. The Cavs got it done in a different way. But nevertheless, I still felt like he was impactful in his time out there. Just, it wasn't as impactful as I would have liked it to be. Tuna Sports says CBJ had some passes to Tristan Thompson. Yeah, that dish inside, that bounce pass that he had. CBJ is really adept at doing that. I've noticed about Craig, for any of you guys who haven't checked out my content on him, did a couple of breakdowns on him already, but I might have to do another one just because, something he does every single one of these games, it impresses me. Something that I just didn't feel like he had in his bag, but he plays with the poise of a 10-year veteran out there. Some of the passes that he makes, it's just unbelievable. He really sees the entire court. His basketball IQ just appears to be off the charts, man. And for him to still not necessarily have a solidified 3-point shot and still be able to go out there and make the defense feel his presence, That's big time, especially for a fucking undrafted rookie. Like, what the heck is that about? That's just yet another great addition that the Cavs have made. But again, I've kind of talked about Craig ad nauseum tonight. It's understandable though, just because of the future that he could possibly have as the Cavs backup point guard. So I love it, man. I love it. Elsewhere, when you take a look around, George Niang starting to really pick it up, dude. Starting to really pick it up. 13 points, 3 boards tonight, 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 14 from 3-point distance. And I feel like I do this every single game with Niang, but man, he just continues to pick it up. He continues to pick it up. Over his last 10 appearances, Niang is knocking down a pretty solid amount of his 3-point shots, man. He's averaging 11.1 points, including tonight's game, over his last 10 games, and he is now knocking down over 43.8% of his 3-point opportunities on relatively good volume at 4.8 attempts and against 2.1 makes. So you absolutely love that. Like, you take that all the live long day. And for Niang, who had such an atrocious start to the season, to really be rounding things out and just kind of turning a new leaf for Cleveland, that's big time. Now, after tonight's game, his averages have obviously been bumped out, but he's now at 36.7% from 3-point distance on the season. And for those of you who remember, the guy started out shooting like 27% from range. It was bad. It was really bad. It had me questioning whether or not Niang should be in the rotation over Dean Wade at a point. But one of the things that I've come to love about him is not just the spacing that he provides, because obviously coming into the season, he was carrying 5 straight seasons shooting over 40+% from range. But one of the things that he adds is an edge. Like that dude, I think I said this last pod, because he's doing this every single game. He doesn't take any shit out there, getting up in guys' faces. I forget who it was who you went up against. I think it was Josh Richardson. Going up against Josh Richardson and letting him know I'm right here. Like, I'm not scared of you. As Tune in Sports says down here, I love his energy. He got that dog in him. Him. Yeah, I mean, I love that dude. Like, wouldn't have thought it right prior to him, but watching the Cavs media day coverage with the Chase Down Pod, sitting down, seeing them sit down with Niang, you could kind of clearly see that that was within his personality, right? That he's got a little zestiness in him. He's going to go out there and showcase the ability and that he already has as a perimeter shooter and as one of your edgier players out there, kind of leading the Cavs in that regard. Considering that they didn't necessarily have that last season, and trying to beat those soft allegations, having guys out there that can be a little bit tough, be an enforcer out there. I think that's pretty crucial for this Cavaliers team, who doesn't necessarily have that anywhere else outside of him and Tristan Thompson. Yeah, he went at Josh Richardson for flopping, apparently, and Jalen Duren in Detroit. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, and that's probably not the last time. We've already seen him be teed up a couple of times. And speaking of technicals and fouls, man, this game is just another microcosm, right? In regards to some of the calls that were made. Now tonight, I can't complain too much because the Cavs actually ended up shooting more free throw attempts than Miami. 26 attempts to Miami's 15. We didn't necessarily shoot well. Yeah, we didn't shoot too well from the line. 65%. Jay Dias says feistiness, not zestiness. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll take that. Feistiness. I like it. Whatever words you want to throw on there. Yeah, Niang he's been that guy. He's brought the edge, but I like it. Feistiness. His post-up game is surprisingly good. Yeah, the only thing, and you guys have probably heard me say this a few different times, I hate when he goes in for that floater, especially when he's driving the basketball, but I can't argue against it. I think I posted these stats the other day on Twitter where, I was looking at his recent 10-game stretch, and when he attempts those shots within 5 feet, he's actually shooting very, very well. When he's attempting that layup, when he's attempting those floaters out there, it looks ugly, but it works. It's working. So I've gotten to the point right now where I've kind of done a 180 on that, and now I welcome it because it feels like it's going to be a make. It's ugly as hell, but it works. It's been working late, and his post game, and if he's posting up a guy he feels like he has a mismatch on, it's starting to work more often than not. So why not? TuneIn says every team needs some type of enforcer. Absolutely. You need a tough guy out there. Let people know your team's not taking any shit. And Niang appears to be that guy for the Cavs. But circling back to my point, that call, I believe it was against, it was obviously a call that was a little bit late, but Mitchell went down really, really hard. Kind of looked like a little bit of friendly fire with DG in there. Just small things like that that could end up potentially hurting the Cavs in the long run if they're not officiated correctly. I'm seeing little stuff like that in every single game that's really pissing me off, whether it's DG being slapped or a non-call on Isaac Okoro or a late whistle on Donovan Mitchell. It's really just starting to really piss me off in regards to some of these aspects of officiating. But I can't complain too much tonight just because the Cavs, they got more calls. They got more calls than not. Actually turned the ball over less too, just 13-18. That's big time. Coming off a game in which Darius Garland turned the ball over 0 times. And as I'll point this out again for anybody who's like trying to call me out on it. Yes, I get there are some violations that Darius Garland may or may not have committed, but they didn't give it to him, so I'm not going to give it to him either. 0 turnovers. The first time that Darius Garland had 0 turnovers since game 4 of that Knicks series and the other game. Tonight, just 2 turnovers. So just 2 turnovers over his last 2 games. You'll like to see that trending downwards, especially for a player who coming into that game against Detroit, I believe, was it Detroit or Orlando? I can't remember. I think it was Orlando. But coming into that game, he was very, very high on the turnover list per game. So like to see that number go down. And some of that may have had to do with the fact that he played limited minutes tonight because of the foul trouble. But nevertheless, the Cavs still, as a whole, turned the ball over just 13 times against a very well-coached Miami Heat team. You love to see that. In a game where Mack Strus shoots 2 of 11 from distance, in a game where Donovan Mitchell didn't get going for the second half, in a game where you didn't have Darius Garland for most of the second quarter, in a game where Jared Allen just, wasn't as impactful as you thought he would be, in a game where you don't have Evan Mobley, you would think this probably would have not had a good outcome. It did. Cavs won the game 111-99, and now have another tough matchup, I believe, against the Orlando Magic again. Tough. You got to get these together. Cleveland, as of now, sits as the 6th seeded team in the East after tonight's victory. You love it. And there's no real big jump like in the standings here. The number 1 seeded team right now is the Boston Celtics. They sit at 6-5. Cleveland at number 6 is 12-9. And the gap between the number 4 seed and the number 6 seed is not very steep. It's 2 games. So we are getting to the status right now in the territory where we can actually start to put some shit together. Coming off of now 3 straight victories, you can probably put another one up there against Orlando, and then you really get into some tough territory. We're really about to see what this Cavaliers team is made of if we haven't already, because following the Orlando Magic, the Cavs have a back-to-back with the Boston Celtics. That's going to tell us everything we need to know about this Cleveland team early in the season. So you gotta, in my opinion, after you beat Miami tonight, you gotta go into Orlando and handle your business. As the kids say now, stand on business. You got to do it. You got to do it because you have some very tough matchups in regards to those Boston Celtics. That's tough, man. At number 1, the Cavs win these next 3 games. You could easily be talking about Cleveland in that top 3 seeded territory. Cavs can do a lot, especially after this start to the season. It's been so damn injury riddled where you're missing a key player or 2 every single night, it seems. But overall, man, just a good, solid overall victory on the night. contributions from up and down the lineup. Nobody really outshined anybody else outside of maybe Donovan Mitchell. The whole team just really put it together. And so I'm feeling really good as we move forward here. With that said, as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. Just past 14K subscribers. So if you're currently watching on YouTube and you're not a subscriber, make sure you do me a favor, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. You never know what you might find on the channel. Might appeal to you. If you'd like to be added to the exclusive It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I'll send you an invite. You guys will never believe, if you're just started watching this podcast or listening, I used to mess that up all the time. I'm not doing it as much, so I'm feeling really good about myself. As the Cavaliers should also feel good about themselves in regards to this win. That said, have a good weekend and go Cavs.